Wilamba ekweso na kukuli. Wilamba ekweso na kukuli. Wilamba ekweso na kukuli. Wilamba ekweso na kukuli. Balesa nifu, banduweni nifu, bamatira nifu, batikola nifu, bankana nifu, bakalirere nifu, bamushiri nifu, shonseshi nifu. Wilamba ekweso na kukuli. Mweba byanzi mpindi Afrika ya kulima. Mweba byanzi mpindi Afrika ya kulima. Abageso muzabya muzeba ekishibwebe. Nomba kweba chino ikitupa pishe. Bigatane bose kuno kwesu kwilamba. Kwilamba ekwesu nako kulima. Ukawe tata, ukawe mayo, ukawe kwasu, ukawe kashia. Ukulima kuweme, mwana moruwa. Ipindi nomba ya Afrika, twende kwense kukulima. Kuilamba ekwesu na kukulima. Nomandi kwite, shani konago. Nomandi kwite, shani konago. Shani ko mantata, shani nebanka. Shani ko shonongo, shani nebandure. Shani ko akaoke, shani nebamushiri. Wilamba ekwesu na kukuli. Shani ko mantata, shani nebamati. Shani ko shonongo, shani nebachikoro. Shani ko akaoke, shani nebakalirere. Wilamba ekwesu na kukuli. Wilamba ekwesu na kukuli. Wilamba ekwesu na kukuli. Wilamba ekwesu na kukuli.
Good evening, Zambia. Mute Ndemwane. That was a really lovely Lamba song. I thought that we would treat ourselves to a little bit of a Lamba song. Mute Ndemwane, Mwashubukeni, Chunglopo Mkwai, wherever you're watching us from. This is TV Bakweto presentation, and I'm Linda Banks with my co-host Frank Saliki. Frank, good evening.
Good evening, Linda. Good evening, Zambia. Good evening, my hometown, Luansha. Good evening, everyone, wherever you're watching us this evening. It's always a pleasure to be with you every time we come live.
Fantastic, absolutely. And actually, I have to say a special good evening to Mufulira, but Mafken, a very special place, very close to my heart, and Kankoyo to be precise, actually, because we're going to have a very special guest from that particular area. Good evening, diaspora. I know we've had a lot of people from diaspora watching, so it's lovely to have you guys here. Now, before we get started, could you just let us know where you're watching us from? Just in the comment section below, just type in which town you're watching us from, and we'll give you a special shout out. Today has been a very exciting day, Frank. Obviously, it's really nice to co-host, for you to co-host this program with me. I know, looking at the various comment sections in the previous programs, a lot of people have been taking a mickey of our accents. It's like, where is that accent from? Some of them have been saying Limbifiak Banga and whatnot. Unfortunately, when you live in a particular country, whether you like it or not, something just rubs off you. Can you just tell our viewers, Frank, where you're from?
I said something. Yeah, that is true. Something changes. So I am pure Zambian. My mother's Lozi. My daddy is Ushi. I was born in Luansha. So I lived in Luansha till I was 15 years old, till from 1990 to 2005. And I went to school at Ron Antelope High School. I would take off basic skills for my primary school. Then I went off to Mutanda High School in Solwezi for my grade 8 and grade 9 before I moved to the UK. So I am Zambian. And as Linda has mentioned, when you live in a particular place for a long time, certain things rubs up on you. Things like accents, they always rub up on you. So we are Zambian. We're Zambian. We don't pretend to be anything else. We don't put up anything else. It doesn't mean that we speak differently. It doesn't mean we're not proud of where we come from.
No.
And that's why we're here.
If anything, I kind of like to keep my Lamba twang. I really try my very best to try and maintain that, because that's my personality. And
there's one time it was just after the elections, and I tried to speak Lozi whenever somebody came on, and I was speaking to my auntie later on the following day, and she was laughing at my Lozi. She was just like, and I was really trying to say, look, I can still speak the lingo, and all my family members were just laughing at me. They were saying, just give it up.
No, I said don't give it up. We should keep trying. My Lamba is nowhere near perfect. So I'm part Lamba and part Lenje. But obviously the Kopala experience kind of rubs up on you or rubs off on you. And you speak Bemba more. So I'm very, very fluent in Bemba, but I'm nowhere near being Bemba at all. I feel I can write excellent Bemba, but it's just sort of speaking to other Bemba people. But I'm really determined to perfect my Lamba. Anyway, without further ado, we have a very exciting array of topics to discuss today. And viewers, just to let you know, if you're just joining us, we are on DSTV tonight. And I know our last session, there was a bit of a problem. And the reason why there was a bit of a problem for you to connect to DSTV was simply because we were cut off at exactly 1 hour. So at 23 hours, which is the odd 23 hours.
That's going to be 23 hours. It's going to be
23 hours. 23 hours.
23
exactly.
Hours.
So 23 hours, we're going to be cut off from DSTV, but we're going to carry on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere, literally whatever platform that you can think of. Right. Now, today was a very exciting day. I thought, I think what happened today is definitely something for the history books, Frank. What do you think?
It is. It's absolutely. For me, I thought it's something special. I think over the last few days, few weeks, there's been these questions of the president is not doing enough. The president is not acting enough. And I think today what we heard was really the president saying, I'm listening and I'm responding to what the people are saying. He doesn't have to come out and say, I'm going to respond. He could have just said, I'm a president. And he's done something that we haven't seen in a previous regime. He's come and he's answered the question that people had. And for me, every Zambian should feel proud. I think it was a special moment when the president said, I want you to come and ask me questions. It's not, you don't see that anywhere in Africa where the president says, I want people to come and ask me questions. I think I saw also a few posts through the day of some people, let's not mention name because some people are just irrelevant and no energy, but they were saying, oh, he should be working, not going on the radio station and answering questions or doing that. That was a special moment in our country. Absolutely. That is working. That's a special moment. That's the president saying, I'm your leader. I am your leader. I want you to come and ask me questions. And let's not take moments like that for granted. We are so blessed in Zambia that we've got a president who say, I'm going to go out there and you know what? People can ring and ask me anything. And they can. That's what democracy and what we saw today, whatever your opinion is, that was democracy at play.
That was democracy personified. You're right. Absolutely. Democracy personified. And like I said earlier, it's definitely something for the history books. This Hichilema administration is making history. And there were so many sound bites, Frank, so many sound bites. One of my favorite ones was, no child will ever sit on the floor as long as I remain president. Now, for a pedagogy, an educator like myself, that was an exciting moment. And I would like for him to go further by saying no child will go to bed hungry. He promised 3 meals per family, and I would like to see that happen. So he said that. And another little sound bites that I took note of was, this is not a military coup. You do not chase everyone in an instance. The hunt is on for new secretary to the cabinet. The law says the person must be 10 years at PS level. So you have to check if you qualify. Zambia will experience millionaires, as in millionaires. Get ready with companies and land, someone mentioned. And I like how he tries to emphasize something by repeating it or saying, this is very important. Then you know Bali means it is very important.
It's very important. I think it's going to be, because I think there's something that Zambian people can know, because I am not UPND, but I did read the UPND manifesto. And for me, what was interesting is in his messages, what I'm trying to get is he shifting away from the original message? And for me, what was really important is, here's the message, here's what our manifesto was, and here is what I'm telling you now. And the two, for me, they match. It hasn't shifted away from what he promised the people of Zambia. And what made me feel a little bit, it was at some point, it was almost trying to convince the people of Zambia, say, we're going to work. And I know we've experienced 10 years of poor regime. It's not going to fix it in a few months. It's not going to fix it in a few months. And I know we would have wanted him to fire people very quickly. But somebody yesterday made a point that made me change my mind on dismissing people. They said to me, it's quite interesting. It was our Dr. Melissa Kapulu. She said to us in the backstage, she said, you lot are discussing PF as if PF were normal people. She said, those people were not normal. They did not just have one PS. They created 2 PSs in one department. So Nobody could just come in and fire all the PAs at the same time. Somebody had to run the thing, and it had to be methodical. And what we need for me, for our president, from what we heard today, is support our president a little bit more. Understanding this is not inheriting an economy which is firing on all cylinders. Is inheriting an economy that has been really rummaged. And for me, what is important, he said this: we as UPN, we as government cannot just carry on blaming the former government. He said, we know how much debt we inherited. Our job now is how we manage that debt. And for me, that was important, because a lot of times politicians, even here in the UK, they do things and they say the previous government did this. He took a step away from that. He said, we know what they did. We've got to manage what we have now. We've got to manage debt. We've got to manage how we build about jobs. We've got to manage with what we have and improve people's lives. For me, that was very important.
Indeed, Frank. Absolutely. That's an excellent analysis of what the president did and did talk about. And it was quite clear. He was categoric and very crystal clear in his explanations about what he's doing, where he's going. He had like a roadmap and he laid it up. And it was just lovely to see him engage with the journalist as well as the public answering questions. And I think it will be a prudent thing for him to accord a similar kind of opportunity for diaspora, so that, because I know there are a lot of people in diaspora with some excellent ideas that perhaps the president might harness and implement as he goes along. So it was crystal clear. If you were in doubt, TV Back with the Family, I think he did push your fears to one side, because there's been a lot of things happening, voice notes flying about, people so angry, but he's got a plan. He is 007 is a man with a master plan. And today we saw that master plan laid out. Now we're going to, absolutely.
You know, there was unplayed. I think my mother made a very important point, because I came in from work and I was listening to the video, and my mom came in the house to see our son, because she's been in Zambian, so she came straight to have a cuddle. And as I was listening to this video, my mom said something that was very important. She said, this man is at another level. And she said something that was really important and that we must be very careful with. My mom said, he's so intelligent, some Zambians might misunderstand him.
Absolutely.
Because
that's bang on.
We've never seen anything at this level.
Yeah, we're used to mediocrity.
From going from what we had to what we were listening to, with the president sitting with a journalist. And that was a conversation, and he was listening. He wasn't putting the journalist down. He was listening. They were having this proper conversation. You can see how much respect that he had for that journalist who was sat in them. You can see how comfortable the journalist was. You can see how tense the journalists were when they interviewed in the previous regime.
Gosh, yes.
It was a conversation. They used to go and talk over those journalists when they go there. But that was another level. And we should really see where this man is going to take us, and have patience for what he's going to do. And understand that he's here to fix what was broken.
10 years is a long time to be in a mess. So in as much as we're anxious and we're eager, we're excited, actually. We're excited for this new dawn to start putting a mark on the country, so to speak, putting its own stamp on what is happening. But we're going to also have to exercise quite a bit of patience, because a lot of things had gone wrong. And for him to just fix things in an instant, it's not going to be feasible. So I think that is clear, that he knows what he's doing. The only thing that I would say is, if we had regular updates like that, perhaps not from the president, from someone from the ministry responsible for disseminating information, Ministry of Information, or the press aid, or something like that. So if we have like periodic briefings on exactly what the president talked about, his master plan, where he's going, what he's done, and what he's doing, people would not be so apprehensive about any minor leakages of information.
Yeah, I've got like some of the stuff that I'm finding out today. It's very crucial to understand. So obviously some PS has been fired, but what I'm hearing is people who are close to UPND, close to the president, they're having to apply for these roles. Yeah, they're not just being appointed to them because you can come in and go. They're actually having to apply for these roles. So there is this methodical way to make sure that the person who gets the role is qualified, and not because you know them. There are people who worked with HH closely in the campaigns. He didn't just go, there is a job for you, there's a job for you, there's a job for you. It was literally, are you good enough for this role? What have you got? Are you qualified? And that's what we need. We need qualified people in these roles.
Transparency as well, where jobs are being applied for, not people just handed these positions. All right, I think it's imperative to say the president smashed that one. He was absolutely brilliant, incredible engagement. And I must say, congratulations to the journalists from Radio Phoenix. That is a major scoop, that was. And by the way, Frank, on the other day, we had the Minister of Justice. You weren't here. And he said we tied him to a timeline on when he's going to do particular things. And he gave us 3 months to check with him to ensure that he's done that. And apparently he's never done that before. He's never been on a radio show or a TV show where he's been held to a timeline. So we had a minor scoop as well, which is we have to celebrate minor scoops. So the guy from Radio Phoenix, that was incredible, really well done. Right, so as we move on to the next phase of our program, if you have just joined us, welcome to TV Bakwetu. And this is Linda Banks. I know a few people in the chat box are saying, is that even a name? Yes, it is a name. I don't own a bank. So don't start asking for money. It's just a name.
Oh, there's a thing. I thought I'll ask a few £1,000 off you then. That's a downer.
I saw someone say, is that even a name? Unfortunately, it's not my father's name, so I just inherited it. Yeah. As we move on to the next phase, I would like to ask you viewers kindly to share the link. I will just give you a couple of seconds. We can see who's sharing. It will indicate sharer on the side of your name. So could you kindly share the link to your Facebook pages, the groups that you belong to your WhatsApp groups. Invite everyone. Invite the PF even, invite NDC, Kambwili, and Vamwisho Vaboman Lusambo. Invite him too. Tag your friends. We don't want you guys to be the only ones to enjoy this. So we're just getting ready to get Honourable Mabeta from Kankoyo constituency. As we wait for him to join us, Frank, do you have any comments or questions or just sentiments from our viewers?
So some of the comments I've seen here. Oh, look, General Nogmanchipaku. How are you, sir? The president was brilliant today. He is at a different level. His ministers have huge task ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is bang on. He was brilliant today. Any more?
One moment. Someone say we were used to mediocrity before. Now we have to accept the change.
I've got one from Kajova Chandri saying, I'm asking why the president is wearing big suits. Unfortunately, I can't answer that. I'm not his tailor. Please keep the comments relevant.
I think the president can wear whatever size suits that he wants to wear. That is not exactly.
I'm particularly liking.
I love the fact after all that's been said, is like, whoa, that suit.
I know. I'm particularly liking the white gloves because they're an indication that he's about to do something special. Yeah. And Chanda Mwamba says, I feel the president doesn't want to preempt what he is doing. If you can access our YouTube viewers' comments, that would be amazing. We have just been joined by Honourable Marita, the Member of Parliament for Kankoyo constituency. Welcome, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Linda. It's great to see you today.
It's good to see you.
Good evening. Good evening, Honourable. Nice to have you on tonight.
No, I'm so excited to be back. Yeah,
fantastic.
It's been 10 days without being here, so I was missing you. You know, I'm getting used to this.
We did miss you too.
Interaction.
Honourable, could you just move your camera slightly to the middle so that we can? That's fantastic. So that we can see the whole. It's
like
the way you were earlier.
Okay. A bit more.
A bit more to the middle so that we can see the whole. That's it. Perfect. That is perfection. Thank you so much. It feels really weird for me to call you Honourable. Let me just be honest.
I'm also slowly getting
listen, I can call him. I can call him Honourable. You can call him whatever you want.
I'll call him my Swambo.
That's who I am.
Right, you've disappeared off the camera again. You've disappeared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, keep it there, please.
Yeah,
keep it there.
That's great. Perfect. That's great. Okay. So, if you just can give us your take on the president's speech today, what if you just can give us two main points that you took out from, and why those 2 points were very important for you?
Yeah, firstly, I think one thing we should appreciate as Zambians, or maybe any African who hasn't been used to the function of leadership. Leadership is all about planning, leading, organizing, and control. So you can't plan without communicating to your employers. Otherwise, you'll be doing things. We'll be doing things which your employer don't expect to do. So the president make himself available today to talk to with the employers, the voters. That's part of planning. You can't lead if you don't understand the plans of the employers. The president is our employee who is going to lead the voted staff, which you Zambian people employed also. So he needs to understand the plans of the employers. So by him making himself available today, I think we are getting back to the full function of management, which we never had in the previous government. In the previous government, all we had was control. It was all about control, and there was no planning. There was no organizing. There was just leading and control. They were just there to control things. There was no planning because all they wanted is to control what is available on the table and ensure that a few benefits. So by the president going back to a full total management role, that's something huge which we should all appreciate. Number two, I think the president came out strongly to share the model of emphasizing on the need as a country to take the money where the people are. He has been talking about the CDF. The CDF basically is the Community Development Fund. This is the fund allocated every year by the government so that the community where we come from can be developed. So when he keeps on talking about removing money from the thieves in Lusaka, taking it where the people are to the Community Development Fund, is something Zambians need to start looking at to say, why does he keep on talking about it? He even keeps on mentioning to say the figure going to see in the European budget, it will be a figure which I haven't seen before. So the president understands where we as Zambians need to have access to development. There's a person in Kaputa, there's a person in Vuvi, there's a person in Chavuma who cannot travel to come to Lusaka. But when there's money in the CDF, which goes back to the ward, those people will be able to face participate in the development by tendering for those jobs. If you want to buy school desks, we want to build a modern, you want to build a repeat latrine, you are going to participate by supplying maybe a bent block, just like in Chavuma in the world. You're going to supply you're going to participate in supplying labor. You're going to participate in timber, which will be used when you want to put concrete. You'll be able to access to the money and or ministers, MPs, who have got so much access to the money which can trickle down to the person in the world. So this is something which we need to get used to, taking back money where the people are. That was very important, and we should start looking at it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because one of the things that he mentioned as well, because when people talk about him, where is the jobs going to come from? One of the things that he talked about is decentralizing things. So he talked about High Court. If somebody needs to go to the High Court, they don't have to travel all the way to Lusaka. They have to be facilities to be brought in those areas. That's where employment comes from. So if you've got a High Court in Lusaka, and then you've got a High Court in Ndola, and you've got a High Court in Kitwe, those places are jobs. Those are where employment is coming from. Everything is not happening in one area.
That's right.
That way, when you, Honourable, you talk about creating all these things go to the rural areas, and also taking some of the government functions that can be done in other areas, so that people don't have to travel from Chavuma to go to Lusaka for High Court when they can have a High Court in Solwezi.
Exactly.
So that's employment in all corners of the provinces.
Taking power back to the people. Thank you so much, Honourable Mabeta, for your view on what the president talked about. Now, I'm going to give you literally exactly 22 minutes for you. Obviously, we had you here so that you can give us an update on what is happening in Parliament, inside Parliament. You are our more. Everyone would like to be that little fly on the wall in Parliament as things happen. Exciting things happened. I think it was last week, where a honorable gentleman was caught chewing, and there was a grass there. One of the ladies told on him that there's somebody chewing groundnuts. I love the memes that have come out of that. It's hilarious. I always say that I think the government should consider adopting Lamba as one of those languages that should be used in Parliament. It will be hilarious. I think it will be absolutely hilarious. So I'll give you 21 to 22 minutes, Honourable Mabeta. Key things that I would like you to touch on as you give us your deliberation. Talk about the Kankoyo Investment Company, Exporters Association of Mufulira, and Glencoe deal in Mopani. If you could just tell us exactly what's been going on in a nutshell and touch on those key points that are itemized, please. The floor is yours.
Oh, well, many thanks. But before I go to that, there's something also which got me excited when I heard the president speaking on the scholarship being brought back to the constituencies, where serving students want to go to university, to colleges, or anyone else, they'll be able to access scholarships right there where they are. So many students have been disadvantaged because they can't get the transport to travel from Chavuma, which is the 1,500 kilometers, to come to Lusaka, find accommodation, push in an application, wait for the application to be approved. They need to go from this office to the other office, but they'll be able to apply and get the scholarship right in their doorsteps. I mean, this is something we should all be happy. I mean, if every student, every parent who's been struggling to send their children to school should be happy to say they'll be able to apply and get scholarship right in their doorsteps. So there's a lot which came from this presidential speech, which I personally, I think I feel connected because those are some of the challenges I was facing when I was growing up. So when it comes to the Kankoyo investment, I think we foresaw, I've studied the UPND manifesto. I fully understand the direction where this country is going. This country is going, the president has spoken so many times to build a middle class of entrepreneurs. When you check the UPND manifesto and our manifesto in Kankoyo, that was one of our top notch. We told the people of Kankoyo to say, we are going to make, and we're going to build the middle class of entrepreneurs, passionate entrepreneurs. As long as you've got the passion, we'll help you grow. We'll help you start, we'll teach you how to grow, and we'll help you sustain your business so that in future, you can also become employers. So immediately we got the opportunity, the people of Kankoyo gave us the very rare opportunity Linda, to represent them, to be part of their development agenda. We quickly went back and started looking at the things we promised them. And one thing which we got first was, how do we create a middle class in our society? So having been a businessman for the last 15 years, I think it has taught me the challenges which we go through, you know. Even when I was squeezed, the PF tried to close my businesses. I think they taught me how to survive under very difficult conditions, which I thank them for doing that, because they taught me surviving skills. One of the challenges we face as businessmen in Zambia is how to start a business. Can have an idea, can have an opportunity, but we don't just have the means how to transform that opportunity in something tangible which can sustain you. So we sat down and said, no, one of the challenges the youths are going to face in Kankoyo, even when of this goodwill from the government, there's a lot of money coming in from the donors, there's money coming in from savings since the debt has been renegotiated, some debts have been postponed. So the money which was going out to the country going to stay with us. They're going to find it hard to bid for jobs. They're going to find it hard to get an opportunity to compete with somebody who's already established or the company. So we say, look, let's form up a company. This company will be purely non-political company. It's going to have representative of a youth and a woman in a ward, a representative, and we have 9 wards in Kankoyo, so that gives you 1 youth times 9 women times 9, 18. Then we have 3 technocrats, experts who are just there to advise them on how to do things, because at the end of the day, we need to ensure that we keep quality control. We have capacity, we draw training programs, we draw exchange programs to ensure that those who are part of the business can grow also as a professional entrepreneurs. So this company basically is providing a platform where I had someone wants to bid for painting an office by the council. I want to bid to build the toilets. The government to ask me to say the government doesn't deal with individuals, they want a company. Definitely the government want a company because then we need to formalize any transaction for audit purpose. So when they ask for a company, despite me having
We're having slight technical problems with Honourable Mabeta. Frank, would you like to pick on let's carry on with what was transpiring today in regards to the president's mini press conference, so to speak?
Yeah, yes, I think there's a very important point Honourable was trying to make there. So it's making it possible for he's back. Honourable,
yes.
Would you carry on with your point?
Yeah, were you able to get me? I saw you were too attentive, so I realized maybe you're not getting me.
Carry on, please.
Yeah, sure. So when I got to an established businessman, he's going to take over my opportunity and make me an employee of the business. So maybe even take the business completely away from me. He's going to tender using his papers. He's going to get the order using his papers. I won't even know maybe he's ordered the business. He might even change and give it to someone else. Well, I'm still waiting for that opportunity. So the Kankoyo investment gives you a platform where you can come, walk in the office, say, I'm looking for an opportunity to build a toilet. Can I kindly use the quotation book? Can I kindly use the order book so that the order which will come from the government comes through the company? So the Kankoyo Investment Company gives an opportunity to a startup youth, a startup mother, a startup retiree in Kankoyo to be able to tender for any job because the company has got all the required legal documents for anybody to tender for the job. So when you do that job, you do that. I mean, as you are performing your job, the experts now are moving to start ensuring that there's quality control. The experts are moving to ensure that when are given that down payment to help you start the work, that money is applied accordingly. Because if I squander the money or I do a poor job, the name which will be damaged is the name for the company, not the individual using the company. So the expert to ensure that there's control over the quality and deliverables for the company to continue, to continue being competitive. So when I do my job, the payment comes out, the company is only going to get 2, 3, 4%, maximum 5%. There's an upper cut limit. Maybe if you get bid for a job for 10 million kwacha, obviously you can't pay 5% on 10 million kwacha. That would be a huge amount. So there should be a limit to say it's either 5% or a maximum of 10,000 kwacha for every job which is more than this amount. So you do those limits so that you protect
Honourable Mabeta, but how can local Kankoyo residents access this? It sounds exciting and it sounds out of reach at the same time for someone who doesn't know how to, who's not very good at reading and writing, but they have entrepreneurial skills and they're good at business, but they can't actually go through the processes of applying for these things. How are you making this accessible to ordinary Kankoyo residents?
The documents are right there in the Kankoyo constituents office, the Kankoyo government constituents office, not any political party office. No, we don't want to keep business out of politics. We want to separate politics from business. If you want to do politics, you stay in politics. If you want to do business, do business. We don't want politicians taking over businesses. This is what led to a lot of collapsing in our business system in Zambia, because we ended up having unqualified politicians doing business which they couldn't manage. So we have kept that company as separate from politics. So if someone tells you come to the UPND office to access this document, then they're giving wrong documents. These documents are public and they're found at the Kankoyo office. Kankoyo National Assembly office. Yeah, there's a National Assembly office. Yeah. So that's where you find them. And the professionals who come, you find them there. They'll come as volunteers at different time. When they need them, they'll give you the numbers, you call them, they make an appointment, and they'll be there to guide you.
Honourable, I think to just carry on that question is, I think we had this conversation when we were talking about the vaccines the last night. So we got the officers there, but what are we doing in terms of getting it to the people? So somebody might want to set up a business, but they might not know about the existence of that office. So what are we doing in terms of, are we going out there and actually speaking to people in the markets or something? What are we doing in terms of physically letting people know that this office is there?
Yeah, I've been on radio 3 times. At least after a week, I'm on radio to talk about the same program, because we've got local radio stations which have got wide listenership. So whenever I'm on radio, majority of the people in Florida are able to tune in and listen. So even yesterday, I was on radio for 2 hours explaining the model, just opening their minds on how it's going to benefit them, why they should take this route, how we are going to create jobs within ourselves using the available resources. Because the government is not going to create jobs for us. We need to take up the opportunity and favorable environment to start creating jobs for our own. If I create a job, I employ someone, that someone becomes a middle class. I'm going to employ someone who, because there are certain services they will need which they can't do because they're busy with their work. So that's why we're going to create more jobs. So I'm on radio. I think I'm on my Facebook page update. So those who are able to share the screenshots, you'll be shocked to say even PF bloggers, that PF, the screenshots of PF WhatsApp groups, they're sharing the same information. It's excited them because they think it's something which is benefiting everyone across any political affiliation.
You're doing a fantastic job, Honourable. And in the last couple of minutes that we've got on this section of the program, just kind of give us a quick update on what is happening in Parliament. What's hot, what's not?
Yeah, then the other thing, Linda, before you go to Parliament, is on the Free Exporters Association. I've received a lot of calls. People want to understand. Some they think maybe it's an empowerment. There's money which has come now. There'll be a lot of money for anyone to just go and buy something and export. It's the same model where we want to legalize. Remember the president spoke about not being comfortable with calling our exporters as smugglers, or the market in Congo, people are buying things from us, giving us. Those customers, we call them smugglers. So quickly moved into Mufreda, met the people in this business of exporting meal, exporting sugar, exporting cooking oil, exporting different products from Zambia into Congo, but using illegal means. So we met them yesterday with the mayor from Free and the town clerk. we explain the model, we engage them, and we share the ideas on how they can make their voice stronger. So I told them, form an association, call it Mufira Exporters Association, anything you want to call it, but should sure to say you are there to promote the export market, which is, I mean, the exporting of goods from Zambia, from Mufira into Congo. So we engaged them, we shared a lot of ideas, and those who want to join, they can still go to the same office, the Kanko office, although it's a Mufira-based association, but we understand the model better, so they would rather first start with us so that it can be spread to others. So if you want to start exporting maize, you want to export milk, want to export beef, want to export cooking oil, want to export sugar, get to the office and engage the officer will be there to guide you. So we're in a hurry, Linda, to ensure that we promote a middle class in Mufira. You know, we want to have a middle class of entrepreneurs. PF killed the middle class. You want to rebuild it. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of planning and engaging the people. But we'll get it right, because I still believe we are in the right position. We have the president who's coming from a background of entrepreneur. We have a president who became a millionaire when he was only 27 years. I think I also got that opportunity to be a millionaire at the age of 27 years. So why can't we share what we've done with the people who have interested us with the future? So we're transferring the skills we have to the people, to the community, so that we can live beyond our life, you know. I want to see 10 years from now, we have a lot of Mabetas in Mufira. I want to see a lot of them being able to sustain themselves, to live outside politics. With or without politics, we need to have a life which we are comfortable with. So I want to build that class of young and prosperous entrepreneurs within our communities.
Fantastic.
Now,
I will give you more time after we've said goodbye to our other audience. I will give you more time to explain on that, because I, for one, know you personally, obviously, and I know the amazing things that you have achieved and the amazing things that you've done in Mufulira. And I'm really interested in seeing how you can not only inspire the youths in Kankoyo, but we have a wide viewership. People watching from Shangombo, from Linda Compound, from Bauleni. So the same principles that you've applied, I would like you to just hold that thought and come and explain when we come back from when we've said goodbye to our satellite viewers. Now, I'm going to invite some of our friends. Right now, I can actually see Professor Kasonso looking very dapper. Good evening, Professor Kasonso. Nice for you to have us. I will give you a few minutes, 2 minutes, to actually share your sentiments on what was happening this morning with the president, as well as what the Honourable Minister has talked about.
And I'll be, Dr. Kasonso, before you start, what would be interesting to say, because I was on the program with you at the beginning of the week when the feeling were very high in the slow response in the president. And what I would like to get from you is how you feel about his speech today, and have your feelings changed from the start of the week. I'll be very interested to get that bit.
Okay. I will give you 2 minutes. If you could stop your thoughts exactly 2 minutes, that would be amazing. And then I'll give you more time afterwards.
Well, thank you, Linda and Frank. You are doing an excellent job. And it's very good to see the Honourable Mabeta on the show again. And obviously giving us a feel of what is going on the ground. It's very essential for us to understand how government policies are going to be implemented in the specific locations where our Member of Parliament is operating from. Well, I would have to say that the conference that the president held was very useful. It was very useful at different levels. We are experiencing a president who has decided to be accessible to his people, who has decided to be responsive to the thoughts and the different deconstructions of his constituencies, the Zambian people. I wanted to contrast also the statement that the Honourable Mabeta made to the statement that I heard from Yoweri Museveni. Yoweri Museveni says to the people of Uganda, I am not your servant. I am not your servant. No, I just do my job. So, yeah,
Nice
so
accent there, Professor.
yeah, I'm not your servant. So, you know, my spirit, my soul is brightened up with this advent of a president who is trying to fit what we profess as a country, to have a democratic way of life and be accessible to his constituency. I recently quipped that democracy lives in Zambia. In Uganda, it's a bloody butchery. In Rwanda, it's not welcome here. In Zimbabwe, it's back to sendo, and in Zambia, it's welcome home. So the president is leading the way. Definitely, he calmed some certain fears, but my concerns are still lingering because I want to see some numbers coming out of there. And the points of frustration for us has been the fact that we were concerned that leaving PF pugilists or cadres in positions of influence will actually sabotage the dream and make it harder for the new Dawn government to implement the policies and strategies and programs quicker. We were also concerned that they'll be leaving thistles and thorns and broken glasses in the path. And then once they're outside, they'll start pointing at people. For example, what happened at Ministry of Foreign Affairs is one of the things that we feared about, that these guys can start doing things that will jeopardize a good start for the new government. So we would just want to continue with the pressure that the president must constitute his team, and then we can know who to root for, who is playing in shed number 5, in shed number 7, how the entire government process is working. It is not strange to be systematic or to be methodical and stuff like that, but that must be married with strict timelines, and especially constituting your teams comprising of people who are rooting for you to be successful is very essential. So I was pleased for his accessibility. I was pleased that he arrayed fears of many constituencies. I am looking forward, actually, my favorite thing in the whole conference today was the promise of continued sackings and hiring of our people in different strategic positions. So I'm sure the 2 minutes for that comment has ended now.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. What you just talked about, and I think the president did put those fears to rest, I would say, because he did promise that he's got a few more things up his sleeves, more firings and hirings coming our way. Honourable Mabeta, do you have any comments on what Professor Kasonso has just said?
Yeah, I think on that point, the president spoke so much about doing things a little bit different from what we are used to, the Zambians. So he might be people may misunderstand him, or they might put pressure on him. But believe you me, I've been with the president for a long time, since 2013. I understand the kind of person he is. He's a very patient person. He's a person who makes a decision once, and that decision stands. So it takes a bit of time for him to make the decision. Not a person who keeps on flipping, Once he makes a decision, it's final. So if we're going to put pressure on him to change from his way of doing things, you end up making mistakes because he's not used to making decisions, swift decisions. He thinks through things he does. He's a very patient person, 100% sober. You find him is awake at 5, he's going to be the last person to sleep. So you even wonder what time he sleeps. So the person who's got time to meditate, think through things, analyze, he will question you, he will engage you. When he's not clear about something, he will call you and you ask you, what do you think about this? You will seek for your opinion. So the kind of person who goes through a lot of pros and cons before he makes a decision. The civil servants the president is going to appoint this year or anytime soon, civil servants are going to stand the test of time.
This week, not this year.
This week, this month, anytime.
Yeah.
As civil servants, you are going to see, we are going to stand a test of time. These are civil servants who won't be changing every time there's a change of government, because that destroys continuity. So
Thank
just
you
give
so
it the
much.
time, and you see the team's going to put up. Yeah.
I've got a
Excellent. Thank
quick
you.
question. I got a quick question for Dr. Kasonso. So, in all the times we've seen Zambian politicians, are we just used to politicians really coming in and saying, this is my power, I do with it whatever I want? Has it come to a shock to our system that there is actually a president who can think things through? 1 minute to answer that.
1 minute, Frank.
Yeah, actually, you are right. There is a shock going on. We are not used to a deliberating, thinking intellectual who is going to put the eggs or the ducks in a row before he strikes or starts a journey. We're not used to that kind of thing. So that's understandable. So as he is being that, as he's learning the job, we are also learning him. So that is part of, you see, the joy is not only in the destination. The joy should also be in the journey. So we are both learning him and his methods, and also where we talk about these things, we must continue because we are making the presidency. And as he comes in, we can see him tower over the issues. This guy is up to date. This guy is larger than life, but this guy is for us and is working for our common goal. So yes, we are not used, but you see, it's enjoyable for him to come once in a while like that, and he addresses and arrays the people's fears. But what we must all look up to is actually in the outcomes and the performance in his programs. That's what we must keep an eye on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kasonso and Hudson Mabeta and Frank Saliki. Now we're going to take this moment to say goodbye to our DSTV family. Thank you so much for joining us. You have been watching an incredible presentation of TV Bakwetu. Frank, final word before we just go out, literally 5 seconds.
I think it's been a special day, and we should really feel blessed that our president can come and speak to all of us. And think, let's give him time. It's going to be work, and I think it's going to turn out wonderful. It's going to take some time, but I think we chose the right leader to lead us in this situation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. We will say goodbye to our DSTV viewers as we carry on with the program, and we're going to be joined by a few other members of the TV Bakwetu family so that they can interact with Honourable Mabeta, and we can just have a more chilled out conversation about what happened this morning. Was it morning or afternoon? It was morning my time, actually.
It was morning.
It was morning, wasn't it? So now I will let Professor Kasonso carry on with his line of thinking earlier, because I had to just close. And well done, guys. We literally did that bang on time. So that is excellent. Frank, you nearly went out of time on that. I was going to kill you.
I like to put you on the edge. I have to keep you on the edge. Make sure you're listening.
That is brilliant. If you're just joining us, welcome to a TV Bakwetu presentation. Guys, I'm not seeing a lot of sharings. Oh, actually, I tell a lie. Lots of people sharing. Thank you so much. Do you
don't forget to buy the stars. Don't forget to buy the stars.
Absolutely. Don't forget to send the stars. Yes. Frank, you want to just remind the viewers on that?
Yeah, you buy your star. If you go on your mobile phone, you will find a star sign at the bottom, and you just press there, and you've got enough choices of what stars you can buy. You can buy 50 stars, you can buy 100 stars, and we come here to to help you, to inform our people. I think it's very important we do this, and we don't do this because we just like talking. We like talking, but we just don't do it because we like talking. We do it because we want to inform. We want to inform. As Mr. Munsha started this, informing people with Bill 10, and people understand. And we come here to really to debate issues and to make people understand issues. So keep supporting TV Bakwetu. Professor Kasonso, there's a thought that you had. I would really like to hear more on the line of thinking that you were going.
Yes. Yeah, what I was saying is that we are learning the president's method. His style is different, but also we should continue with expressing ourselves, because the education is the exchange is what is building the narrative of the presidency, understanding and making him connect deeper with people when he hears the different sentiments about the different things that are going on. I would like to see also, coming with the learning of the new way of doing things, a re-education of our Zambian public. The re-education of our Zambian public. Yeah, first, thank you, Frank, for talking about what we do here on TV. We shouldn't forget that we're also here to entertain. So once in a while, we will jump off the logic and the educative insight to crack a joke.
That's why it's
And
becoming really tricky,
yeah.
so for us to behave for DSTV, because we're used to just coming in and just going for it.
No, Sorry, Linda, don't worry about that. We'll get used. So, Honourable Mabeta, what I would like to see is a re-education of the Zambian public. What came with the bad leadership of the Patriotic Front was the half school. Half school. For example, they put forward the concept for more than 10 years that they have this concept of development. I think they used to call it development. Development kuya Kongole fikulwa kumachainishi no kuisa fitanika mu Zambia fia pankongole ero na bantu wala mwatanika po tabako iteka pasti ya kulipira ne fikula file tibabomfia on a consistent basis, and then somehow you hope that those fikulwa they will improve the welfare of people, but there is no research in economics or finance that defines economics like that. That's modernization, you know? So economic development is about empowering people, but even empowering people is not dishing out a little change to musicians or a little corner of people or marketeers, give them some chunk change and say they will go on to run a business. So we need to actually begin a campaign to re-educate the masses on the nature of economic development and how it's a responsibility of every Zambian to build a marketable and sellable product within the economy. And then with the cycle of people and cycle of friends, create economic output that feeds the country at personal level, at firm level, and country level. Then that way we are going to create economic output. So it's going to take everybody to work extra hard, register companies, come up with ideas, and just do something, everyone, and do focusing on small-scale industries, products, and services to provide to the government, to the community, to our cities, to our neighbors, and things like that. That way we can even come out of debt. And then the other extension of the same thought, Mr. Salik, so I can leave my colleagues also to say something so I don't swallow up all the time, is the concept of tula tuava nebwana. How much are we getting out of the mines? You know, copper prices are booming. Here, Tesla is one of the companies, #1 around the world. They're making electric cars. Their headquarters in San Francisco is one of the most beautiful places you can ever visit here. So, but they are using copper in those cars, and the copper that they are digging out of Zambia, how much of that is Zambia getting out? Is everything just going to the investors who have invested their money in? How much are we getting out of that? We need to look at those trucks ferrying copper out of Zambia from the perspective of government policy and the parliamentarians to create rules and principles that allow Zambians to get a bigger share out of that. Tula tuava ne bwana, tula tuava ne wisenda shonse. Umukuba onse bali mabatwalira bana babo. Tula tuava ne bwana, tula tuava ne.
Yeah, we need that.
It's brilliant. It's very important. One of the points that you've pointed out there is creating an economy. I think one of the things is, I always say this, with the president coming in, it didn't mean the president was going to be coming in, walking around people giving money. It's about creating an economy where people can actually create businesses and can function. And we have to look at ourselves as people. We have to go, we're going to do this together. It doesn't mean if I have my own small business, if my neighbors don't have money, no one's going to be coming to buy anything from the business. So it's about how we go and build together in all sectors of our economy, building together and growing together.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
maybe
Frank.
just a
And
comment on
Vakasonso
the
Tula
submission.
Twevane. Okay, I will give you a moment, Honourable Mabeta. Vakasonso Tula Twavane, and also do something. Those, if you don't take anything from what the professor said, take those two things on. Do something. You've got to. It's not the president who's going to change the trajectory of this country. It's literally everyone. You've got to do something. Don't be too complacent, sitting back and expecting things to be handed over to you. You have to think, what can I do to serve? What can I do to better my country? Honourable Mabeta, you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I think what are the observation from Dr. Kasonso, they're very right. But I want to give you maybe a leakage. If you really want to understand how messed PF was, take time to just listen to the debates of the so-called big fish in PF. Because just 4, 5, or 6, 7, the so-called big fish, those were in cabinet. Most of the time when they debate, the debates are off the topic. You know, a minister who was in charge of a very big ministry which is in charge of developing the country, on a simple topic, he contributes 3 times on his contributions, they're all irrelevant to what they're talking about. You even get to wonder to say, was their thinking? So they created the system where thinking wasn't part of their leadership. I even wonder what used to happen in their cabinet, because they haven't debated anything sensible you can see to say there's thinking in what someone's trying to talk about. So take time to look at the big fish when they're talking, this big fish from PF. That their debates are so shallow, off the hook. You even try to understand to say, honestly, are these the people, the Zambian people, are paying so much to be in cabinet offices? So that just shows you how much that trickled down to a common person. There was so much simplicity. There was so much lack of, well, you can say, gray matter. I'm not trying to badmouth them, but you've got access to the Parliament TV and see how much they debate. They're only debating when they're condemning. If there's something to condemn, you hear them making sense. But if there's something to reason, to bring an idea, or to think outside the box, yeah, it's a disaster. When coming to Zambia getting the benefit from the mines, I think we spoke about the Glencore deal, which didn't go into details. We've written to Mupani. We want to understand the deal between Mupani, ZCCM, and Glencore, because there's a clauses which we are not comfortable. One of the clauses which I came across was Glencore, they're still buying copper at an odd price of $3,500 per ton, despite the price of copper having gone up to $10,000 per ton. So as a country, for every ton of copper which is giving Mupani, we are losing $7,000 per ton. See how terrible that deal was. I think I posed the question on the Minister of Mine, and due a scandal. The videos are there. So I've written to give us a copy of the deal so that we start understanding, because as Zambians, as a resident of Mufulira who depends so much on the mines in Mufulira, I want to understand what this deal means. Why should we continue selling copper? One Glencore buys 80% of the copper, and the ZCM one remains with 20%. And that 80% Glencore pays at on an odd price of $2,500. We don't want to speculate. So I've written to them to give us access to the document. When we start the document, if there's need to go and negotiate with Glencore, I'm willing to negotiate and sit down with Glencore and negotiate a deal which we think is going to benefit the people of Zambia. Because we have the capacity, we have the understanding. We get information from the people. This is one of the forum where we get the learning. You know, the submission you get, keep taking notes. I engage the people of Mufulira on the radio. I engage the people of Zambia on Facebook. We keep getting the ideas. So we've got brilliant people. So we can face Glencore, even Tony Rizzo is late. Whoever is the owner of Glencore can sit down with him and engage him and find a win-win solution for Zambia. At the end of the day, prosperity will judge us. We are given this opportunity to represent the people of Zambia. How have we represented them well? Have we become rich because of the opportunity? Or we represented them to a point where everybody will benefit? Thank you.
And Honourable, we have to remember that with Glencore, the people of Zambia, because the government on their behalf, the former government acted on their behalf, they inherited the entire debt that was owed by Glencore. the entire 1-point-something billion. So they bought whatever they took, they inherited that debt as well to go with it. So Glencore, you see, they're making free money out of that without all the debt that went with that.
Okay.
What would be interested again if some few people again, Wamkelabai, Kimaziwan in that.
Kimanzibwani sikyabasaba Hesu, sikyabasabolozi, chungulopo mkwai.
How are you feeling today? After I know the feeling that we had at the beginning of the week, and after listening to the president, what are we feeling today?
The president, by the way, good evening, your honorable. Hope you're okay. Good to see you. Yes. The speech for the president, or the appearance on the radio phone-in program today, it's one of the kind. I believe that the ex-president right now, he's just busy biting his lips and maybe doing those exercises he used to with the Zambian army with his wife. The thing is, I feel that this president has come with a very new model of politics in Zambia, and it's a new phenomenon to Zambian, because we've never seen this before. I think not just to Zambian, the whole African. Imagine Mugabe coming on the call-in program. And we should just appreciate. We should appreciate what we have. We are a blessed country to have such a wonderful and articulative and intelligent president. No wonder he had to go through all this. I think Wolungu knew that this president, if I give him time to bring to come, he definitely was going to be his name was going to be, his legacy was going to be just rubbed like a Mwanawa school or rubbing. You see,
so do you feel a lot happier today? Do you feel a lot happier?
I'm very happy. I'm very happy that he came out and he fulfilled his promises. One of the promises he made during his campaign, and also he listened to the people. Where the boards that we were crying and the people, the permanent secretaries or secretaries to the cabinets and other group were actually rejected or ejected out of government, which is the best thing, without even thinking about these arguments we used to have of Mawe, cost analysis to cost the government, Mawe, trying, but otherwise we know he did it. So now we want him to appoint new people, and we don't want him to leave his people that fought with him behind. We want him to put them on board, and we want him to also look at the 11th province. We want him to look at us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank.
I'm reliably informed. Let's give everyone a chance. We've got about 50 minutes to go. Let's make sure everybody who's on call actually says something. So
before we do that, Frank,
Tualumbaka Patrick.
Just before we do that. Kelevai, what are you on? There's just something special about you calling Bashtasila Wolungu. It's just hilarious. I don't know why it's funny. It just is funny. Wolungu. But Percy, I'll move on to you. We're doing so beautifully well with time. Let's carry on. I'll move from Percy, then we'll go to Joanne. So 2 sentiments, please, if you could make them snappy. One, another topic we haven't touched that I wanted to go to is what in God's name has been happening at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So if someone wants to add to that, or just comment on what happened at the press briefing that the president had, or if you want to talk about something that Honourable Mabeta alluded to, please feel free. So Percy, over to you.
Okay, ine mwalanjerera kolero
Huh?
Nalalanda, on something the Honourable mentioned last week. But first, before I go to that, I know your constituency is very tough in terms of the age expectations.
Mapesi. Valenvike ninkopo muli camera.
Ati?
Valenvike ninkopo muli camera. Yes.
Incorporal. Okay, but person, you literally have.
No. I'm quick because this I'm talking about is constituency. It's nothing here. I know the in terms of age, it's kind of difficult. When you reach 40 in your constituency in Namkula San, because you deal with a lot of pollution there. I'm right to say that. Yeah. And in terms of I'm kind of impressed with your Kamkoyo investment. That's a very good idea. I like that. And actually, the main thing I wanted to ask you, what you mentioned last week, was that you've got a committee which deals, like you agree to for certain projects when the money comes in from the government. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
On that committee, are all of the people elected, or it's only you who's elected?
Yeah, what happens is the Community Development Fund Committee, it's a committee which is in charge of approving the submissions from the community on the projects which the community wants to be done, but we have to allocate funds according to the manner which has come. So that committee is composed of 10 people. From the 10, we have got 2 councillors who are elected from among the councillors. I want you to get very clearly. The 9 councillors are going to choose 2 councillors who are going to sit on that committee. We've got a director of finance from the city council who is a government employee. Then we've got also the director of engineering from the city council who is a government employee. Then I'm given 4 names to appoint. That's 1 from the clergy, 1 from the NGO society, and 2 from the community who I think can represent the community on that committee. And I'm part of that committee. So the committee seeks to evaluate projects, yeah.
Okay, my question is, if I follow your counting, there's only 3 people who are elected by the people on that committee. Am I right? So
Yes.
basically, my main question now comes in. You have to remember that your head is the one which is on the block. When you were campaigning, you were promising people things. Yeah? So last week when we asked you, you answered us, no, because you have to sit in the committee and agree and all that. I still come back to the same question. You are the elected official. You are answerable to the people. Same applies to the president. We can't deal with a PS can do all the rubbish, whatever he wants. But the person who follow, it's the president, he's the one in charge of it. So my question is, do you have any idea in terms of you yourself, the things you promised to your people in your constituency? What are the things you'd like to improve? Yes, I know you've mentioned the Kamkoyo investment and all that, but on a personal level, just you, what do you want to achieve in the constituency? Because as I said, your head is on the block.
Yeah, I think one thing I did when I met the town clerk yesterday was to build a level of understanding and engagement, okay? I had to talk to him first, engage him, reason with him, tabulate 14 points I think are going to improve the community in Kankoyo, and he added 1 point. Out of all the 14 points I submitted to him, he was of the idea because he found all the submissions to be very brilliant. I didn't go there to threaten him or to push him or to say I want this and this because I'm the one who's got the head on the chopping board. I reasoned with him. It took 2 hours for me. I was playing a line by line. Where I had the question he was asking me, where he's not happy, could tell me, what if we did it this way? So we sat for 2 hours for him to buy in the idea. So the model we're taking, and I think something I'm learning from the president, is to win the support of the people are working with. not to bulldoze yourself. Because when you fail, they're going to say, we are not part of this failure. But if you win the support, they work hard to ensure that things pull through. So after the 2 hours of deliberation, without even the other committee members being available, it's like, no, let's take this direction. I think what you've reasoned is something everyone's going to be happy with. Today, he met the 9 other members of the committee, presented the case, and they were so happy about what we presented. So what I was saying is, I'm not the only person on that committee. Yes, but the overall responsibility, even the president saying, if the manner in which the government is releasing to the constituency doesn't work to benefit the people, the MP are answerable to the failure. That's right, and I take the responsibility. But when it comes to decisions, we are going to make decisions together. Where I need the support, I will engage them. But if it takes to a point where I have to make the final decision, definitely I doubt if we reach to that, because I always believe in participating and engaging.
Thank you so much,
but if you take
Honourable.
that route,
Thank
we'll
you.
make that
Thank you so
decision,
much,
sure.
Honourable.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to Joanne. Could we kindly keep the questions and sentiments in the confines of the topic, please, so that we do not digress? Joanne, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Linda. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to break away from the topic a little bit, but just in line with what the president spoke of today. I followed press quite well and was well pleased to hear that, you know, they will be proceeding with the bursary and making sure that young people get access to education, those who are deserving of it. Honorable Hudson, I think I just have a challenge or a question for you and the rest of the cabinet. Just in terms of education, what are you doing to possibly provide a conducive environment for people who are not academically gifted, for instance? So that is for people who have different talents, but may not be the best performing students in school. Are you going to, do you have a plan for them? Because I think we also need to include people of that regard, so they can also contribute positively to the economy. And we need young people to be involved creatively as well. There's the arts, there's innovation, and all of that. So I would just like to find out.
Thank you, Joanne. Lovely. I'll take 2 questions, then give the Honourable time to respond. Kelevai, 1 question from you, please.
Honourable, I wanted to find out about the is it the park in Parliament? Is it still in existence? And if so, why are we not? Why is it not conveying so that we could hear the issues that are busy in the media, the money issue from the lungu of the mines and the faith of the bank?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable, if you could just very briefly touch on those, and then I will allow Wiseman and Himba to ask their 2, then respond to them as well. We only have literally 5 minutes. Go for it, please.
Yeah, one of the things we've, which was part of our campaign promise, is mentorship. We are so much into the mentorship program to build positive thinking in the people of Kankoyo. I think Kankoyo is known as one of the most violent constituencies in Zambia. There's a lot of violence, thefts, discontentment in that constituency. So mentorship is part of one way of aligning the mind of the people. Then we've also proposed to Mupani. Mupani has got a very good, I think the best mining training school in Africa is just in my constituents across the mining company. So we propose to them to be giving scholarships, not based on someone's qualification, but someone's skill. Someone's a grade 9 dropout, grade 7 dropout, but they've shown interest in doing a skill. So that when the mine can train them, because it's a training school which provides skills, can train them and give them that skill to be better people. We've also thought of building 2 skill development centers in the same constituency as soon as we get the 2022 community development fund, because we know the amount is going to be enough for so many projects. So that's part of the plan we have. And they also thought of empowering the community with earth moving machines. We are lobbying for maybe a grader a bulldozer and a compactor, so that those who are trained can have equipment which the government, when it's doing roads, like now we have got the World Bank, which has pumped in a lot of money in the rural roads to build rural roads, so they can hire the same equipment from the community who are already skilled, so that they can execute on those jobs. So there's quite a lot to put in, but don't want to preempt anything, because next time we may have nothing to talk about.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Wiseman and Himba, let's start with Himba. One question, please, very quickly. Wiseman, can you take over? Bahimba kwa tabaripo.
Thank you very much, comrades. Good evening to every one of you, and good evening to our viewers. Honorable, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Wiseman. Yeah.
Thank you very much. One question, as I've been given by our comrade Linda. Honorable, we have seen most of these people, not so honorable, who have been always attacking the president. Even today, when this radio program was about to start, we saw someone I don't perceive to be called the opposition leader, but in Zambia they call him that, Mr. Zilo, was trying to tell the young ones to mobilize and go and disturb the radio program, to say it's not the duty of the president to speak to the people on the radio program. And I've seen most of our members in UPND, few are responding to such kind of people. We saw Dr. Chimbakambwiri did the same. I don't know where he got his doctorate. We have seen
your question,
Mr. Nakashinda as well. Why are you allowing these people to be launching and no one is responding to them? Do we have to be responding, even us on the lower position of the party, or the people who have been given that responsibility, they have failed to do their job? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Honorable, we've got a minute. That is a challenge. I'm so sorry. We'll have plenty of time in the background to carry on with the conversation. Kindly answer that one.
Yeah, I think there's a question on the pact in Parliament and bringing cases. Parliament is there to make laws and not to prosecute people. So we cannot start talking about things which are in court in Parliament, because we will be taking away the responsibility of the courts or the investigative wings. So we can't talk about cases which are under investigations in Parliament. No, we're there to make laws and not to investigate or judge people in Parliament. No, that's not fair. Then when it comes to responding, you know, that's what I was telling you to say. PPF had a lot of noisemakers, so don't to start concentrating on their noise. We've got an agenda to develop the country. You know, we've got an agenda to change the lives of the people. We spend my time thinking for strategic thinking, not noise making. I think if we had the Minister of Health today, she kept on talking about scientific way of doing things. And someone said, UPND are now bringing chemicals in Parliament to mix. They couldn't understand what's a scientific method of doing things. And it took time for her. I mean, she had the pain to explain what scientific way of doing things to a former cabinet minister. Don't start concentrating, not distract us, for heaven's sake. It doesn't give us the joy. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta. And before we close, actually, that was a very funny moment to end on. I just want to take a moment to say our deepest condolences to Wiseman on the loss of your child. Us as TV Bakwetu family, we're really sorry, and you are in our thoughts. And thank you for joining us, actually, despite the fact that you're going through a hard time. Frank, I will give you a minute as well.
I'm just going to say to Wiseman, and just know that the Lord is with you, and He's always with you, and He will give you and your family strength to overcome. I know sometimes we find ourselves in difficult circumstances, but always know our God says, "Come here, or disconsolate, and He'll bring your wounded hearts, and He will heal your hearts, and always keep trusting Him."
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. This has been a TV Bakwetu presentation. We have gone 1 minute over. I was determined to be bang on past, but Tim, you have done a fantastic job. I know we all have voices loud enough and with amazing and incredible ideas. Sometimes it's really hard to just confine them in their tiny little space that has been accorded to us. I've been your host, Linda Banks, and my co-host, Frank Asaliki, and we were joined by Honourable Mabeta from Kankoyo constituency. Naba Percy, Bachbeba Tvike Nimpumi Camera Bachtaobe, Professor Kasonso, Wiseman, Bahimba. I don't know what happened to Bahimba. I think Bashba board, she disappeared. Kalevai, thank you so much. Joanne, brilliant to see you, girl. And good night till we see you again tomorrow, perhaps, or the next day. Have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
We're still live.
I know we are still live. This is the time we can let the Dr. Kasoso to talk until we go off.
Yeah, mulukumfwefe bachikulabira ba Mabeta. Atilio baleta scientific method. Ba PF nobututu wabo. Ba PF tema 14 ma 15 yale achirabo pa ma 14. So yo bali kuleta ma chemicals. That was that. What's that? That's so funny.
We are still live though.